The story of the series, which is based on a movie that was itself based on a book, begins at the very start of 1962. Deep inside a movie theater, they're showing a musical, and various audience members are watching it in the hall. Among them is a boy named Matty. Despite his age, he never lets go of his pacifier. The sound of him sucking on his pacifier annoys the other moviegoers. An usher with a flashlight appears in the theater. He asks Matty to leave. He's too young to be watching such risque films. The boy runs away from the usher and hides in the lobby behind some cardboard cutouts. He's spotted by Veronica, the daughter of Hank the mechanic. But instead of turning him into the usher, she points the man in the other direction. Thinking the coast is clear, Matty comes out of hiding and almost gets caught. After that, the boy wanders along the nighttime roads under railroad overpasses, leaving the city and hitchhiking as he goes. After he passes the city entrance sign, a respectable family in a car picks him up. A mom, a dad, and 2 kids. The boy admits he doesn't care where they're headed, as long as it's far away from his hometown of Derry. Meanwhile, the older daughter pulls a container of cookies out of her bag. Dipping her fingers into the liver, she sniffs the blood, then holds them up to Matty's face so he can join in too. When the boy turns away, the girl snaps at her brother, yelling. Her mother suddenly matches the level of cruelty and starts spouting obscenities. In response, the whole family bursts into unnatural laughter. At that moment, Matty sees Stella ahead, having just left Derry, the best city in the world, to get rid of the child. It turns out they're heading back. The boy asks the driver to stop, but the family completely ignores him, absorbed in their own conversations. The father even turns up the radio just so he doesn't have to hear the hitchhiker. Matty tries to open the door to jump out while the car is moving, but it's locked. Then he grabs the steering wheel, but the car just swerves. But the boy ends up slapping the pregnant belly of the woman sitting in the front seat. The blow immediately triggers labor. Despite the emergency, the man doesn't even think about slowing down. A bloody lump of flesh falls out of the woman right onto the floor mat, and the whole family gazes at it tenderly. Unable to resist, Matty also looks forward and sees a terrifying mutant with wings, which lunges at him. The grotesque baby starts flying around the cabin on leathery wings, causing panic. Unable to bear the horror of what's happening, Matty turns to the window, closes his eyes and ears, and starts sucking on his pacifier. The other passengers look at him, then the baby jumps forward, and the pacifier, flying out of the shattered window, falls into the river they're crossing. The story jumps ahead 4 months, to April 1962. A schoolboy named Phil, fascinated by alien conspiracy theories, watches from the terrace of an empty city building as military planes land at the local military base. On board, Korean War veterans arrive at the base. The pilot, Major Leroy Henlon, and his partner, Captain Polly. They're greeted by the assistant to General Shaw, the commander of the airbase, who wants to personally show them around. It turns out this is one of 6 strategic bases, and the northernmost one at that. In the event of a war with the Soviet Union, which is just a 7-hour drive from here, they would become the first line of defense. Upon arriving at the hangar, Major Henlon meets his new subordinates. However, one of them refuses to greet him. The reason is that the new commander is black. It takes the arrival of General Shaw to force the races to observe proper protocol, even if it's against his will. Meanwhile, at Derry's school, a girl named Lily, whom the others consider a weirdo, finds something in her locker. Jars of pickles. A secret message from the local pranksters. Her friend Marge comforts her, telling her about their grand plans for summer vacation. To hang out, party, and lose themselves in a haze of fun. Phil is also wandering the school hallways with his friend Teddy. He shares his latest suspicions that scientific experiments with aliens are taking place at the military base. And it's still unclear who's probing whom. But something is definitely going on there. In the past 2 days, Phil has seen 7 cargo planes land near Derry. In the evening, the boys do their homework together at Phil's house. However, Teddy's mind is preoccupied with the missing Matty. Today marks exactly 4 months since he disappeared. It turns out that Matty's mother promised them candy as they came to his birthday party. But they never showed up. Now Teddy blames himself. If they had come to the party, Matty wouldn't have run away. Phil disagrees with him, which leads to an argument after which his friend leaves. Meanwhile, as Lily is getting ready to take a bath, she touches the turtle-shaped keychain on her wrist and is swept into memories. 4 months ago, Matty brought her to the terrace of an abandoned municipal building, which offered a wonderful view of the city. When she opened the candy with toys inside, the girl found a rocket, of which she already had plenty. That's when Maddie gives her his turtle. Lily shares that people think she's odd because of her father's death. He died in an accident at a factory that produced canned pickles. The local kids started a rumor that his remains could be found in jars of pickles. Their conversation is interrupted by fireworks celebrating the new year. With the sky lit up in bright colors, Matt seizes the moment and leans in to kiss the girl. But she pulls away, dealing a blow to his fragile ego that leaves a lasting psychological scar. After that, the boy leaves. That was the last time she ever saw him. Lily's mother interrupts her memories. Opening the door, she reminds her that they should visit her father's grave. In the whole year since his death, the girl still hasn't been there. Not once. It's time to come to terms with it. When the woman leaves, upset, Lily suddenly hears Maddie's voice singing a little song from the train. Leaning over to look, she calls out to the boy. In response, 2 fingers poke out of the hole. And then they disappear immediately. When Lily told her friend about it at school, she immediately drags her to the bathroom. Marsh doesn't want her spreading the story around. People already say all sorts of unflattering things about her. And she doesn't want to be known as the best friend of the local crazy girl. Lily is upset with her about it, but there's nothing she can do. Phil doesn't believe her, but Teddy allows for the possibility that it's a runaway teenager hiding in the sewers. That's more believable than aliens on military base. They don't come to an agreement, and then Lily leaves. Major Henlon visits General Shaw. He says he punished a disrespectful subordinate with latrine duty. The commander also explains that Henlon's transfer is connected to the testing of the newest intercontinental bomber, the B-52. At dinner, Teddy asks his father if someone could kidnap a child and keep them in the sewers. In response, he gives a lecture about how Jews survived German concentration camps where their skin was used to make lampshades. Now that's real horror. Not the things his son is imagining. That's the corrupting influence of comic books on a young, impressionable mind. While reading comics before bed, the boy notices that his desk lamp flickers and turns off by itself. After turning it on again, he sees not the usual lampshade, but a horrifying creation made from human skin. A terrifying face keeps screaming in horror in unison with the room's owner. Suddenly, the hallucinations stop, and his older brother peeks in the door to find out what kind of racket is going on. At sunset, Teddy gathers his friends on the terrace with a view of the city and tells them what happened. The kids are afraid that if they tell the adults about what they've been through, at best they'll be sent to boarding schools, and at worst, to other closed municipal institutions that answer not to the Ministry of Education, but to the Ministry of Health. They decide to figure out for themselves what happened to Maddie. It was his disappearance that started this whole mess. To do this, the kids head to the library to look through a selection of newspapers. Bill has to bring his little sister Susie along, since there's no one to leave her with. After finding a newspaper article about the missing boy, the friends realize that the last person to see Maddie was Veronica, the projectionist's daughter, at the movie theater. The kids go to her to ask about their friend, but she refuses to talk. She's already fed up with the police questioning her, since, as usual, they tried to blame her father. However, as she's leaving, she overhears the guests talking about a song coming from the sewers. This catches her attention. According to Veronica, she also heard songs from a musical coming through the movie theater's sewer pipes. She also heard laughter and a child crying, and someone was calling her name. Major Hanlon is getting ready to go to bed in the barracks. The popping glands irritate him, and he gets up to adjust them, not noticing the suspicious figure in the suit outside the window. Chemical protection. But the uninvited guest does not keep us waiting long. He approaches the pilot's bed. The major jumps up and enters into a fight, but loses. It turns out that there are 3 visitors. Threatening him with a pistol, they want to find out the tactical and technical specifications of the B-52 bomber. Maybe thinking it's a test, or maybe he just hasn't had time to memorize the data, or maybe in a sudden burst of patriotism, but Hanlon refuses to sell out his country for cheap. When Polly knocks on the door, the major seizes the moment and takes the pistol away. Together, they manage to cause a commotion and drive the intruders out. Meanwhile, Veronica is taking her new friends to the movie theater, which is already closed for the day. Using her dad's keys, the girl leads her 4 friends into the auditorium while she heads to the projection booth. She goes to the projection booth to load the reel and show the very musical whose song Lily had heard. As the magic of cinema comes alive on the screen, among the crowd of extras singing along with the lead performer, the children suddenly spot Matty himself, holding a bundle that looks like a baby in his arms. Surprised by this turn of events, they call out to the boy, and he suddenly responds to their call. Stepping forward, he calls his friends by name, then accuses them of what happened to him. They betrayed him. Leaning over the baby, Matty seems to be crying, but when he lifts his head, a suspiciously wide grin spreads across his face. The boy throws the bundle from the screen. Breaking a fourth wall like glass, he flies into the hall and transforms into a giant mutant baby with wings. The monster flies around the hall while the film on the screen melts. The monster chases the boys, lifting them into the air and tearing them to pieces, splattering blood on the projection booth glass and on Lily, who is lying in the aisle. Veronica helps her get to her feet, and then they run away from the monster lurking behind the seats. After making it to the lobby, Veronica locks the door with a hammer, as if nailing it shut. Then she asks Lily, who is covered in blood, what on earth happened. Suddenly, Lily remembers that she was holding Susie's hand and is still clutching the severed limb. Lily screams in horror, and that's where the first episode ends.